Good evening, everyone. I have pleasure in opening the Ordinary Council meeting of the 23rd of September 2025 at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all those in attendance. I wish to inform you that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The video will appear on the Council's website and YouTube channel. The public gallery will not be recorded unless accidentally, and only a participant in the meeting, namely a person asking questions at public question time, will be live streamed and recorded. If you wish to ask a question at public question time, your voice and image will be recorded and live streamed. If you do not consent to your voice and image being recorded and live streamed to the public, then you'll need to leave the meeting. By staying in this meeting, you consent to your voice and image being live streamed and recorded. No other electronic, visual or audio recording device or instrument can be used to record the proceedings of this meeting without prior written permission from the Council as per City of Belmont Standing Orders, Local Law. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I further acknowledge their cultural heritage, beliefs, connection and relationship with this land which continues today. Councillor Marks, would you please read aloud the affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on behalf of the elected members present?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I make this affirmation in good faith and declare that I will duly, faithfully, honestly and with integrity fulfil the duties of my office for all the people in the City of Belmont according to the best of my judgment and ability. I will observe the City's Code of Conduct and standing orders to ensure efficient, effective and orderly decision making within this forum. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Marks. Apologies. I've received apologies from Councillor Ryan and Councillor Kujitsky. There are no leave of absence for any councillors recorded. Declarations of interest. Will the Coordinator of Governance please advise of those declarations made to date? Financial interests.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, there have been no declarations of financial interest for this evening.
Any declarations made disclosure of interest affecting partiality?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, no, there have been no declarations of interest affecting a partiality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We move to announcements 4.1. My first announcement. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Councillor Deborah Sessions on completing her Diploma of Local Government for elected members and on receiving a diploma today. Secondly, as is custom at our Council, I now invite those elected members whose terms expire on the 18th of October 2025 to address the Chamber. Starting with Councillor Sakula, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Evening, everybody. Wow, it's both a privilege and an honour to stand before you tonight and reflect on my 8 years as councillor for this amazing city. Serving this amazing city has been one of the most rewarding chapters in my life, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that you have entrusted to me. From my time representing both the West and Central wards, as well as all residents across our city, I have enjoyed being your representative, listening, learning, and working hard on your behalf. When I first put my hand up to serve, I promised that I would give my all and that my word is my bond. And I believe I have stayed true to that view. Belmont has always been more than just a place on a map for me. it's home. My family has lived here for over 70 years. 3 generations of my family have grown, worked and thrived in this city. It's often said that you can take the boy out of Belmont, but you can't take the Belmont out of the boy. And that is certainly true in this case. This deep connection to place has always been able to guide me in my work. For me, being a councillor has never been about a title, status or employment. It's not about the money, it's not about benefits or perks, and it's not about superannuation. It's about giving back. It's a vocation. It's a calling. I hold strongly to the belief that if you have the capacity, then you have the responsibility. Local government provides us with a unique opportunity to be the eyes, ears and voice of our local area, to help inform, guide and shape the decisions that will lead to positive outcomes for all of the individuals that live in our area today and into the future. I have been blessed to serve alongside an amazing council. Each of my peers here this evening have brought their own knowledge, skills and experiences to this chamber. And it has been through this diversity that we've been able to make thoughtful, balanced and responsible decisions. I want to acknowledge Councillor Marks to my right here, and I want to thank him for giving me the opportunity of leadership and to lead. I want to thank Councillor Marks for his support and his advice when he fulfilled his obligations as Mayor. So Phil, thank you so much. I want to also acknowledge our current Mayor, His Worship, and I want to thank him for his stewardship. I know stepping into the mayoral role is a difficult task and you need to try to navigate various obstacles, and I think you've performed your task really well, and I thank you for your stewardship during this time. I also want to extend a heartfelt thanks to someone that I call a mate, and that's Councillor Davis over there. Councillor Davis and I came onto council at the same time, and when we came onto council, we certainly made a difference, and we had lots of laughs. The journey has been interesting, and we've achieved some great results. And thank you for being a good mate. I also want to extend my sincere thanks to all of the council officers that are here tonight and that aren't here. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to work with these council officers side by side to achieve some great outcomes. Your professionalism, your advice and your tireless efforts are the backbone of what we achieve in this city. I've never had a CEO until I was elected to council, so I had nothing to actually compare that opportunity with. But I can honestly say that I've been absolutely blessed to have a CEO like John. Thank you, John, for your compassion, for your advice, your support, your mentorship of me and your actual stewardship of this council. This city is incredibly lucky to have you as their CEO, and there are no words to say thank you, but thank you. No journey like this is ever taken alone. I want to take some time now to acknowledge and thank my family. I'm grateful for the support of my late father and my 91-year-old mum, who has been a very loving, caring and steady presence in my life. Importantly, I want to thank my amazing wife, Diana, and my three beautiful kids, Paul, Sophia and Francesca. And just out of interest, when I first started on council, my son Paul was 5, Sophia was 4, and Francesca, who's sitting down the back there, was 3. Now she is nearly 11, Sophia is 12, and Paul is 13 years of age. So they've journeyed through that council experience. Your love and your patience and your encouragement has been my rock, and I could not have done this without you. As I look back on these eight years, I feel nothing but a sincere appreciation for the trust placed in me, for the relationships built, and for the chance to play a small part in shaping the future of this amazing city. Serving this city has been an honour and a joy, and I will always hold this experience close to my heart. And with this in mind, I ask for support and trust as I seek a third term as Councillor of Central Ward. And in close, can I just say, vote 1 George, your strong local voice in Central Ward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. We move to Councillor Sessions.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. I have to follow that now. First of all, Mayor Rossi, I do want to say it's been a pleasure working with you. And I can't believe that 4 years have gone already. It's been an incredible learning experience, and I feel so positive about our community. I want to thank every single person who voted for me and allowed me to represent them in West Ward, and my fellow councillors for trusting me with the role of Deputy Mayor. Today, my diploma graduation really marks the growth and learning that I have committed to when I began this role. Now, a couple of thanks. I want to do a special thanks to the planning team. They showed me so much patience when I was first elected, and it's not forgotten. Thank you. Thanks also to the Parks team. You're listening to residents and making huge changes in Belmont, and it's really noticeable. I've worked hard, I've read everything, and I've made small changes every day within our community. Things as small as picking up litter, reporting a dump mattress, or requesting pavers are fixed. The city are always quick to respond, and although I've probably driven staff mad at times with my requests, I do think that Belmont is looking brighter, greener, and cleaner. I've done the role full-time by choice, as I believe there is so much that we can achieve by dedicating time to council and to our community. Stronger community means better outcomes for everyone. Now I need to say a quick thank you and hello to my kids, Harry, Toby and Annabelle, who are watching this at home. And then finally, thank you residents, staff and my fellow elected members. It's just been an amazing 4 years. Thank you.
And we move to Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm the same. I can't believe it's been 4 years. It comes around way too quickly. But yes, well, it's been a privilege to be elected twice by the people of South Ward, and I'm incredibly grateful for the trust the community has placed in me. In July 2017, a friend approached me and suggested I run for council. That October, I was sworn in. From the beginning, I understood that being a councillor is about grassroots involvement, knowing your community, volunteering your time, and at times standing up and fighting for a cause. That's what local government is about, local people serving their local community. People often ask me, do you like being a councillor? I'm like, I love it. I love my job. I've achieved so much with the City of Belmont, and we all have together. We have a bright future in Belmont, but I'm extremely concerned about a few things that I've noticed with this election and door knocking. I've noticed quite a few people, doing it extremely tough out there. They're not putting their electricity on. They answer the door wrapped in a blanket. They don't leave the house because of health issues. So there's a lot of concerns there that we still need to work on with the state government and the federal government. In Western Australia, we have a dire situation, which is the housing situation. I've personally have friends that have worked hard all their life, made decent living, and have been couch surfing or having to sleep in their cars for 6 weeks, 2 months. And they simply cannot afford the rent that is increasing constantly. So this shouldn't be happening in a first world country, and people do deserve to live with dignity. So I understand the contributions affecting this, which is skill shortage, rising material cost, ongoing delays in constructions, but the bottom line is we need affordable housing. So local government can play a really important part in this, and at the City of Belmont we've taken real steps. We've amended our planning scheme to allow for increased housing, including rezoning certain areas from R20 to R60, enabling dual coding for flexible density under specific conditions, considered increased heights and mixed-use developments along key corridors like Great Eastern Highway. These changes are practical, proactive and necessary. We listen to the community, we budget carefully for improvements and support our residents wherever we can. We are a progressive and well-functioning council. Some key projects currently underway include the revitalisation of Belvedere Street, upgrades of the Abernethy Road intersections and improvements at Wilson Park. These projects are important for the livability and the future of our city. It's vital that we remain focused as a council and committed to seeing these projects completed. As a council, I believe we work really well together. We may not always agree in the chamber, but that's democracy. We bring different perspectives, we challenge one another and we debate. At the end of the day, we all have one thing in common: we care deeply about the Belmont community. I want to acknowledge my fellow councillors who I enjoy working with: Councillor Sessions, Councillor Kuljitsky, Councillor Harris, Councillor Marks, Mayor Rossi, Councillor Ryan and Councillor Sekula. Each of you bring passion and drive to your role, and that's exactly what local government needs. Councillor Sekula, who has been such an important support for me. The public doesn't see what happens behind the scenes. In closed meetings, you ask the tough questions, unpack complex issues and drive the search for real solutions. You make sure the community's voice is heard and you don't shy away from holding others accountable. It's easy to see why you're a leader in your professional life. That professionalism carries through your role on council. To our CEO, John Christie, thank you for your guidance and support. You and your dedicated team of officers do an outstanding job, and we are incredibly fortunate to have you leading the City of Belmont. I'd like to thank my husband, Ian. I feel like I'm getting an Emmy. But Ian's always 100% behind me. He's very good, and my two boys, Kelton and Dylan, are very supportive, although I think at one election, Dylan was at Belmont High and he said to me, Belmont College, he said, if I have to see another flyer around the college with your face on it, they get a little bit embarrassed when they're in high school. So yeah, thanks to my family and also my mum and dad. But I have to say, serving the people of South Ward has been an honour. We've made great progress and there's still so much more to do. I look forward to the opportunity to continue serving this vibrant, diverse and growing community. Thank you.
Councillor. Thank you to all three councillors. We now move to the disclaimer. It is 6:48 p.m. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda document and advise members of the public that any decisions made at the meeting tonight can be revoked pursuant to the Local Government Act of 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the City has been received. Declarations by members not given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers presently before the meeting. Are there any declarations to be made by councillors? There are none. Public question time. Responses to questions taken on notice from the ordinary council meeting of the 26th of August 2025 are noted in the agenda for Ms Hollands on behalf of Belmont Resident Ratepayers Action Group, Ms Hollands herself and Mr Russell. We move to 5.2, questions from members of the public. It is 6:49 p.m. and open public question time, and draw attention of the public gallery to the rules of public question time as written in the question time form. I remind members of the public of the standing orders local law requirements for members of the public to extend due courtesy and respect to both councillors and employees. Please do not use inappropriate, objectionable or untruthful expressions or expressions that reflect adversely on the character or actions of councillors or employees. If any expression is deemed inappropriate, you'll be directed to withdraw the expression and apologise. If you do not comply, I'll have to end your question. Lastly, I remind you and caution everyone present at this meeting to refrain from making defamatory statements, especially as proceedings are now live streamed. Under the City Standing Orders, Local Law 2017, members of the public can ask up to 2 questions. You have a maximum of 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. As presiding member tonight, I will allow up to 4 questions per person. Please note that sub-questions, being questions within questions, will be counted towards the total number of questions permitted. The question number and time limit is to allow fair and equal opportunity for everyone to ask their questions before the proceedings continue. I have 5 members of the public who have given prior notice to asking questions. There's been Ms Hollins herself, Ms Hollins on behalf of Bragg, Glenys Godfrey, Martin Cardoso on behalf of the Belmont East Ward Connect. Are there anybody else wish to ask a question? No. I ask you to please state your name and suburb only. Also, please remember you have 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. We move to first person, Ms Hollins, please, from Redcliffe.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Is that on? Oh. Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Firstly, I don't give consent to be on camera and any perceived consents under duress. Okay, Bragg questions. Last meeting, one of the questions I asked was who checks the questions on notice prior to being sent out. Many times I attend meetings and ask a question which is taken on notice, and when I get a reply, it is not answered. Therefore, I come back the next meeting, repeat the question I asked the month before and the response I got, and advised it wasn't answered, so I have to do this again. The Mayor counts questions asked by residents, so now I would like to ask him to answer one, not the administration. When we get 4 questions to ask and one which has been taken on notice gets a response that does not answer the question, and I have to come back the next month and try again, will you deduct this question from the 4 we get when it's on notice and there's more than 2 weeks for the administration to research and get it right?
No, it will still count. And considering that our City Standing Local Laws 2007 says maximum 2 questions, I'm allowing 4. I'm being more than generous. Next question, please.
Last meeting, much discussion took place as to how much better it would be if we put the questions in beforehand and they would be answered on the night. During COVID, when you closed meetings, which was not actually a state government requirement, you forced people to put questions in 48 hours beforehand, and even then, it didn't always mean we would get an answer on the night. It just didn't happen. Both Phil Marks as Mayor and our current Mayor have allowed people to come off the street and do a question on the night, which is great leadership, inviting participation from everyone, and as Mayor, perfectly allowable regardless of the standing orders, which are a minimum requirement. Personally, I have no issue with questions being taken on notice, especially when they obviously need researching. The issue is when you get the response, it doesn't answer the question and you have to go and you've had 2.5 weeks to do it. So my question, if the administration claim that if questions were given in writing before the meeting, they could get a response on the night, Why does it take 2.5 weeks to get a response back to a question that's taken on notice? Shouldn't you be able to do it in, 48 hours?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. Staff will try their best to respond as quickly as possible. The requirements mean that the responses to questions taken on notice should be contained in the minutes of the following meeting. But what staff will do is write to the individual, informing them of the responses to the questions that they've taken on notice well in advance of the next meeting. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
Next one, please. Thank you.
Bragg has reached a number of complaints about councillors blocking people on social media councillor pages. It appears there is one councillor who keeps being named to me doing this. These those that have spoken to me claim they've never written anything on the page, and there is nothing that they have said that would have required them to be blocked. Whilst I can't comment on whether or not the others have actually said anything, I can say I've been blocked for a long, long time, and I've not put a comment up. Section 8.2D of the Code of Conduct reads, must treat all people equally and respect diversity within the city to ensure everyone has the same opportunities in their dealings with the cities. The elected members' communication policy for social media also states elected members must A, be credible, accurate, fair, thorough and transparent, be respectful, cordial, honest and professional at all times, and be responsive and share information where appropriate and behave with honesty and integrity. So my question, if councillors go around blocking people from their councillor pages as opposed to their personal pages for no reason, can residents make a complaint of a breach of the Code of Conduct, and would those doing the blocking have to establish good reasons, such as the councillor being abused or similar for blocking these individuals, or would it just be something that we just have to accept? And if we can do something, where can we direct residents to the paperwork should they choose to make a complaint, as I'm more familiar actually with breaches of the rules of conduct?
First of all, I believe that if it's a councillor's Facebook page, it's still their own personal Facebook page. It doesn't belong to council. But again, let's get direction from the Director of Corporate and Governance, who may know more.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with your sentiments. In fact, I was just writing a note here that social media is the private realm of the individual, and it's up to them who they allow to see or not to see. I don't think there's a complaint to be lodged.
Thank you.
Next question. Thank you.
My
Fourth.
personal questions. Thank you. Last month, I asked about the cost of parking sensors. The response was that parking sensors are rented in a lease arrangement over a 5-year period. The cost for sensors in the Faulkner Park Precinct and Epsom Avenue were $250 and $270 per year respectively, and are subject to annual CPI increases. This includes installation, support and maintenance. So my question, could I have a breakdown for each area as to how much revenue has been raised since installation versus the cost to have them over the same period, as they've certainly been effective at Epsom Avenue, stopping the training centre using the entire area for themselves at the expense of residents attending the shops?
Mr. CEO?
Thank you, Worship. I'll need to take that question on notice. Thank you.
Thank you. With respect to the Stanton Road traffic calming, when do you expect that to be done? And given there was also recommendations to do something at the intersections of Epsom and Durban and Epsom and Victoria, how long would it take after the initial work completion to get something done there, as it seems to me that people in Epsom and those in Durban have been forgotten in all of this, and in my opinion it would be expected Durban is going to get even busier when Belvedere is upgraded with traffic from Redcliffe taking Durban to get to Belmont.
We'll go to the Director of Infrastructure Services, especially I'm also concerned about Durban.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Rossi, the questions with regards to Epsom and Durban, I'll take those on notice. But with regards to Stanton Road, I mean, the design is ongoing. We're also liaising with Western Power, and one piece of good news we got there is that Western Power is a new programme. Option B, Streetlight Programme is called. It's a trial programme where local governments can progress the design and installation of street lighting themselves. So we managed to get ourselves on that programme for the lighting at the proposed roundabout at Stanton and Morrison. So that is all progressing. So hopefully we should not have to wait 2 years for a Western Power upgrade there. So hopefully we should get it done sooner. I don't have a definitive programme as yet, but the lighting would probably be the longest lead time. But once we do have a definitive programme, we will certainly let the community know.
Thank you.
Thank you, and great outcome about Western Power.
Okay.
Next question, please.
Yeah, I agree. Western Power is replacing power poles all over the East Ward at the moment, leaving residents for scheduled outages on a regular basis. For instance, where I live, this is about to be the 5th outage since the end of July, and it's most of the day, and it's like living in a third world country. So my question, is there any plans for underground power in not just the East Ward, but all over Belmont in the future? And is the cost still 1/3 from state, 1/3 from the city, and 1/3 from the homeowner?
I don't believe it's no longer 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but we'll get clarification from the Director of Infrastructure Services.
Yeah, again, through you, Mayor Rossi, we did present at Council a number of months ago in relation to the targeted underground power programme by Western Power, and there are a lot of information was provided in that item, but I will take it on notice and we can provide some more detailed answers in response to that question.
And one final question. The Director's just mentioned about the new rules with Western Power and being able to do our own power arrangement. Is Belvedere Street getting underground power, and is that included, or are we able to get that on the program to push Belvedere along?
Director of Infrastructure Services.
Yeah, so the stage 1 works does not include the actual undergrounding of the power, but it includes installation of all the infrastructure for that. So the second stage of that project will be the undergrounding of the power, and that is ongoing discussions with Western Power.
Is that for Belvedere Street?
Through you, Mayor Rossi, yes, for Belvedere Street.
We move to Glenys Godfrey.
Good evening, Mayor Rossi, councillors and staff. Glenys Godfrey, Morgan Road, Redcliffe. This is in relation to our seniors bus. In April 2025, the council agreed to support the Belmont Seniors Club in the purchase of a new bus, and we thank you for that. The bus has arrived at the depot and we have agreed to pay $75,000 towards the cost. However, after months of negotiation, the committee of the Belmont Seniors Club cannot agree to sign the supporting agreement due to section 9.4.1 subsection D, which states, this agreement may be terminated at any time by the city in its absolute discretion. The officer cannot give an example of the circumstances that would lead to this clause being activated. He says the council would never use it. So we are asking that this section be removed, as it's the only obstacle to signing off and our seniors getting the use of this lovely bus. Thank you.
Mr. CEO, are you able to respond?
The only response I would give, Your Worship, is we're still in confidential discussions with the Belmont Senior Cits Club. And the quote and the section that was read out tonight is not the actual amendment that was emailed to the club. So other than say that we're still in confidential discussions with the club, I don't think it's appropriate for me to respond.
We move on to Martin Cardoso.
Martin Cardozo, Redcliffe. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, city officers and members of the public gallery. All of my questions are on average less than 1 minute each. I ask these questions for a better Belmont. Question 1. This is a governance and compliance question under the FOI Act. The City's information statement, adopted under Section 96 of the Freedom of Information Act 1992, is a statutory declaration required by law. It represents the City's official commitment under legislation about public access and transparency. In the most recent July statement and in past Belmont annual statements, agenda briefing forums are clearly listed under the heading Public Meetings. That obligation arises under the FOI Act, which is entirely separate to the Local Government Act. Yet at the August OCM, the City explains that it calls ABFs a matrix rather than minutes because ABFs are not statutory meetings under the Local Government Act. But under the FOI Act, once ABFs are identified as public meetings in the information statement, they carry record-keeping and transparency obligations. Notwithstanding that legal obligation, most reasonable people would also assume that if a forum is listed under the heading of a public meeting in a statutory document given to the state government, then a full and accurate capture of that meeting is required and not just selective or incomplete notes. Mr Mayor, can the City answer yes or no? Does the City accept that by declaring ABFs to be public meetings in a statutory information statement, it has created a clear obligation for accurate, comprehensive and accessible record keeping, yes or no?
Chief Executive Officer.
Well, thank you, Worship. I suppose the answer to that is yes. I believe that we do keep accurate records of agenda briefing forums, and those are made available to the public. So I would say that we are fully compliant with the clauses that you've referenced. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please.
Your Worship, it's a governance question. Is it possible to hear from one of the governance team?
I'm sorry, the CEO has spoken.
Okay,
Thank you.
no
Next
problem.
question.
This question relates to statutory obligations and governance under the FOI Act. Residents rely on Belmont's statutory information statement to understand their rights, and the state government relies on it to ensure compliance with the Local Government Act. If Belmont has formally declared that ABFs are public meetings in this statutory document, would any move to restrict or close ABFs not directly contradict the information statement provided under legislation as recently as July?
Mr CEO first.
Thank you, Worship. Like as we've said, and we've said this at a number of meetings, there's no requirement for agenda briefings to be held at all in accordance with the Local Government Act. And there's a number of Band 1 local governments that don't open their doors at agenda briefing forums. So I suppose I believe we're fully compliant. And if there was ever a decision to go behind closed doors, then those meetings would not then be public meetings and therefore not open to the public. Thank you, Your Worship.
Director of Corporate Governance, anything else you wish to add? He looks like eager to speak.
No, Mr Mayor, I think the CEO summed it up very well, thank you.
Continue, Mark.
Thank you. Just to say that I think the FOI Act and the State Records Act are as important as the Local Government Act. Question 3. This is a governance and compliance question, not an operational one. At the August OCM, when asked if there had been any discussion about closing ABFs to the public, the response was that the matter was confidential. Yet under Tranche 2 reforms, meetings must be open by default, and closing them requires both clear justification and disclosure in the minutes. Further, the City of Belmont Information Statement, a statutory document provided under Section 96 of the FOI Act, formally declares ABFs to be public meetings. Mr Mayor, can the City confirm that any proposal to restrict or close ABFs would need to be resolved openly and transparently by Council as a governance decision and not determined behind closed doors by administration?
Mr CEO, I seek clarification.
Thank you, Worship. Any decision that Council makes has to happen in this chamber. There is no other decision-making forum for Council to decide whether it decides to open or close an agenda briefing forum or not. So any decision, I would assume, along those lines would be made in a public forum, but I may defer to the Director of Corporate Governance or the Manager of Legal and Governance if they want to clarify further. Thank you, Worship.
The Manager of Governance and Legal wishes to speak on it.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to the questioner's point about the local government reforms requiring meetings to be open, that is as defined under the Local Government Act. The definition of meetings is contained within the Act, and the definition of meetings under the Local Government Act does not include agenda briefing forums. Thank you, Your Worship.
Director of Corporate Governance, you were also eager, but has that been answered?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think my colleagues have answered the question quite adequately. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's been answered.
That's right.
Your questions now on behalf of Belmont
No, I've
Eastwood
got one.
Connect.
This is question 4.
I've got 4 here already, but go ahead.
Yep. This is a governance and compliance question under the FOI Act. When Council adopted its live streaming policy on the 12th of December 2023, item 12.9, the City's statutory information statement already classified agenda briefing forums as public meetings. The officer report and minutes from this item made no reference to this obligation. That means for the purpose of transparency and record keepings, ABFs are officially public meetings, regardless of whether or not the Local Government Act explicitly lists them. Mr Mayor, the omission of the information statement during Council's adoption of the live streaming policy in December 2023 meant that elected members were not formally advised that agenda briefing forums are already identified as public meetings under a statutory declaration. That gap risks undermining both the integrity of the information statement and Council's ability to make fully informed governance decisions. With Tranche 2 reforms commencing in October, requiring meetings to be open by default and imposing stricter transparency standards, how does the City intend to correct this omission and ensure that live streaming is consistently applied to all public meetings as both policy and reforms demand?
I'll go to the Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, to touch on my previous comment made in response to the questioner's question, meetings are as defined under the Local Government Act, and it's only those meetings that are to be kept open, subject to provisions under the Act where they are allowed to be closed. And if I can also perhaps take the questioner back to reconsidering the context of the question with that historical statement, the information that was provided to Council about public meetings, even though ABFs are open meetings and they're open to the public, they are not statutorily mandated or required under the Local Government Act, has been explained to the questioner previously, and they are therefore not captured under the Local Government Act, any of the requirements of the Act, including the reforms. Thank you, Your Worship.
Can there be a comment on the FOI Act?
I'm sorry, we'll go to the CEO now.
And I think the Manager of Legal and Governance has covered that quite well. And the only thing I might add is that this was the decision of the state government, and the Minister at the time made it quite clear that Band 1 and Band 2 councils needed to live stream their council meetings and special council meetings. And as you've heard from the Manager of Legal and Governance, the ABFs are not a requirement under that Act and not captured under that decision from the state government.
I'm referring to the FOI Act and the State Records Act. But I'll continue.
Go ahead, please.
Yep, okay. Martin Cardozo on behalf of Belmont Eastwood Connect. Again, all of my questions are on average less than 1 minute. Again, I ask these questions for a better Belmont. This question is about governance and compliance under the FOI Act. At the August OCM, the City's response suggested that contributions at ABFs only need to be heard on the night, but this ignores statutory requirements under the FOI Act and State Records Act. These acts impose obligations to ensure that records of public meetings are accurate, comprehensive and accessible. Yet, the Agenda Briefing Forum matrix records none of the following legitimate contributions: oral deputations and submissions, questions asked by elected members and who asked them, direct responses from officers, elected member questions taken on notice but then never minuted again, and questions from elected members to deputies together with the deputies' response. If on top of that, the audio is deleted after 12 months, how can Council maintain that the matrix is a complete and accurate record when under the FOI Act and State Record Act, such omissions would place the City in direct conflict with its statutory obligations?
Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, Your Worship. I certainly believe that our obligations under the FOI Act and State Records Act are absolutely as they should be. Your point, the questioner's point regarding, and sorry, forgive me. Oh, yes, the requirements of the ABF and the contents of the ABF matrix as relates to the accuracy and record-keeping obligations under the FOI Act, as has been conveyed to the questioner in correspondence on this matter. There are exemptions that apply in those circumstances, and there is the standard form provision under the FOI Act which allows the City to provide the information available at an ABF, in its standard form, And that is certainly what we've done, and that was explained to the questioner in the correspondence that was provided to him. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please.
Question 2. Again, this is a question of governance and compliance with statutory obligations. At the August OCM, the City acknowledged that Belmont now stands in isolation as the only Tier 1 LGA that opens its doors for an agenda briefing forum but does not live stream or provide audio. The City has implied that access is discretionary because the Local Government Act doesn't require it. Yet, in the City's information statement, a statutory declaration required under the FOI Act, ABFs are clearly defined as public meetings. How does the City justify treating ABF access as optional for residents while formally declaring to the State Government that ABFs are public meetings?
To the Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, Your Worship. I feel like we've gone down this path before. So in response to the questioner, the fact of a meeting being a public meeting is not at odds with the obligations that we adhere to under the FOI Act. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please. Thank you.
Question 3. This is a compliance question about the City's information statement and the new reforms commencing in October. Tranche 2 reforms make it clear that Council and Committee meetings must be open by default, with much stricter rules for closure and mandatory reasons recorded in the minutes. Yet the City's own information statement, adopted under Section 96 of the FOI Act, has for years classified agenda briefing forums as public meetings. If the City continues to insist ABFs are not meetings, does that not directly contradict its statutory information statement and risk non-compliance once the reforms commence?
Manager of Governance and Legal.
Thank you, Your Worship. The answer is no.
Okay, thank you. Question 4, last question. Appreciate this. This is a question about residents genuinely being heard and valued. At the February annual electors meeting, residents voted unanimously for the ABFs to be live streamed. Ratepayers have already paid for the cameras, yet the City continues to delete audio and refuses to debate live streaming. The City's own information statement, adopted under Section 96 of the FOI Act, places agenda briefings forums in the official meeting cycle, Section 5.4, and explicitly lists them under the heading Public Meetings, Section 6.2. That means, for the purpose of transparency and accountability, ABFs are statutory meetings. Councillors and those campaigning to be councillors should be fully aware of this statutory declaration. Mr Mayor, why has live streaming not already been applied to ABFs when the residents have already called for it, the equipment is in place, and the City itself has already declared ABFs to be public meetings?
Quite simply, the Council didn't support it. So you know the answer. I'll go to the Manager of Governance Legal to add anything further.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, an ABF is a publicly held meeting. In the information that we provide in our information statement, it is consistent with and as is required under the FOI Act. The declarations made under the FOI Act it's a separate statutory regime. The fact of a meeting being public and us complying with the requirements under the FOI Act to notify the government and the Information Commissioner about the ABF does not, by some sleight of hand, immediately render an ABF a meeting for the purposes under the Local Government Act. Thank you, Your Worship.
Comprehensive answer.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There being no further questions, I close public question time at 7:17 p.m. We move to 6.1, matrix of the agenda briefing forum held on the 16th of September. Are there any questions on the matrix? If there's none, have a move and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Harris. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your screen. Carried unanimously. What do I have here? 6. 6.2, Ordinary Council meeting held on the 26th of August 2025. Are there any questions on the minutes? If there's none, I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Sikora, seconded by Councillor Sessions. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your screen. Carried unanimously. Questions by members of which due notice has been given, there are none. Questions by sponsors to questions taken on notice, there are none. Questions by members without notice, there are none. 9, new business for urgent nature approved by the presiding member or by decision, there are none. Business adjourned from a previous meeting, there are none. Reports of committees, there are none. Reports of administration. Are there any items withdrawn? We'll go through each one. 12.1, the accounts. 12.2, monthly financial report for August. There are none. May I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the report en bloc? Moved by Councillor Davis, seconded by Councillor Harris. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Carried unanimously. For those people present, and there are none, but I'll read it out anyway, please note that those items that have not been withdrawn have now been adopted by Council. You're welcome to stay and observe the ending of this meeting. Previously, as I said, please do not rely on any Council decision until formal notification has been received in writing. We move to 13.1, request for leave of absence. Are there any requests for leave of absence? There are none. 13.2, notice of motion. There are none. 14, matters which the meeting may be closed. There are none. Closure. There being no further business to conduct, I thank all those in attendance. Close the meeting at 7:21 p.m. A reminder to all elected members to please return all confidential documents to the box in the foyer of the Council's entrance here at the Civic Centre. Thank you, everybody.